walking here. I'm walking here. Up yours, you son of a bitch. You don't talk to me that way. Get out of here.
Hi there, my name is Luke, and in this video, I'm going to teach you how to ask people to get out of the way in English. In the first half of the video, I'll teach you direct ways to say this. Some of these could be, definitely are, rude. Then in the second half, I'm going to teach you different ways to say this politely and respectfully. So if you don't want people to think that you're rude, you will want to stick around for the second half of the video. Oh, and leave a comment letting me know which of the examples we talk about sounds most rude to you. Okay, let's get into it. So imagine this. You're in the airport, rushing to your gate. You don't want to be late for your flight, of course. You're on the moving walkway in the airport, which people use to get to their gates more quickly, right? Your heart is pounding, you're feeling a little bit nervous, and of course, it always happens. There's someone standing, just standing, not walking, right in the middle of the moving walkway, just looking at their phone, browsing TikTok, blocking everybody who wants to get through. First of all, that is so rude. Stand on the right, of course, so that people who want to get through can get through. You psychopath. This is a big pet peeve for me because it's happened so many times. Okay, but there's no time to diagnose this person and say all of that. Here are some phrases that you can use when you just need to get through and you don't really care about being polite. The first of these is probably the most common, and that is coming through. So this is just an announcement. It's not to say to a person, move out of the way, so it's not personal. What it is saying is, I'm moving quickly. Anyone who doesn't want to get bowled over like a bowling ball should probably move because I'm in a hurry. So it's not rude, but it is direct and it's not very polite either, right? It's really just describing the situation. And again, I like to think of it as you being a bowling ball. But as we'll see, the tone does matter. So the way that you say it may make it more or less polite, more or less rude. You may also say, watch out. Now this depends on the situation and the tone, because watch out could be, there's a piano falling from a building and I say, watch out, in an excited way to warn people. Well, that's not rude, is it? Absolutely not. I'm doing people a favor. But if I'm walking in the airport and I need people to get out of the way and I say, watch out, that could be seen as rude. But it depends on how I say it. Watch out is more neutral. Watch out is maybe more, let's say, louder and sounds a little bit more angry. So it matters how you say it. Now, those phrases are probably the most common, coming through and watch out. But you will hear some others, and these others are probably a bit more rude. So, move. Move. Well, why is that rude? Just saying move is almost treating another person as a machine that needs to get out of the way, right? So that one is often seen as rude. It does depend on the situation. I don't know if you could say that with a polite tone, though. Move. I don't know if there's any way to avoid that one being rude. Sometimes people will say, move aside or step aside. You'll see this in a lot of movies when someone is blocking the way. Move aside, step aside.
I command you, as King of the Britons, to stand aside.
I move for no man.
So be it.
Sometimes you'll also hear out of the way. Maybe this is because people are in a hurry. In an action movie, someone running very quickly. Out of the way, out of the way. That one could be okay to warn people that they should move unless they want to get injured. But if I'm walking behind this person at the airport, out of the way, is going to sound somewhat rude, as though I'm kind of angry because someone is in the way. Although I would say that the person who's in the way, the person standing there in the middle of the moving walkway, they're being rude for being there. So maybe it balances out. I don't know. But this can be made a little bit more intense by saying, instead of the way, my way. Get out of my way.
Get out of my way!
And again, this is when someone is trying to maybe stop you from achieving a goal or from going where you want to go. Get out of my way. And sometimes you'll hear people say, get the fuck out of my way. Obviously making that much more direct, stronger, of course, rude. Now, finally, one that you will hear that I don't really recommend is, I'm walking here. Except when you hear it, if you hear it, it's not very common, it probably sounds more like this. I'm walking here. Now this is a sort of classic New Yorker who's in a hurry, doesn't care about how you feel, you're in my way, I need to go where I need to go. It actually comes from a Dustin Hoffman movie where he's walking and a car almost hits him and he says, I'm walking here.
Hey, I'm walking here! I'm walking here! Up yours, you son of a bitch! You don't talk to me that way! Get out of here!
So that has become since associated with the impatient New Yorker who's in a hurry. And I had never heard it before and always wished that I could. And then one day it happened. I was walking very slowly because I was distracted or looking at something, and I heard from behind me, I'm walking here, and someone was saying it to me. And instead of feeling like they were rude, this is a rude person who's making me get out of the way, I didn't feel that way at all. I thought, wow, what an honor. This phrase that I rarely hear, I've never actually heard in real life. Someone said it to me. And it was a real treat. That is something that I will always treasure. Just a quick note before we move on to the polite phrases. We were using the airport situation just as a situation to focus the examples, the phrases around. But you can use those in all kinds of different situations. Now, hopefully, you generally want to be polite. Even when you're in a rush. Does it hurt to be polite and courteous to other people? So let's explore some polite ways to ask people to get out of the way. And again, you can use these in all kinds of situations. Perhaps the two most common, most useful expressions to use in this situation can be used in all kinds of other situations. Excuse me and pardon me. Very, very common. When you want to get someone's attention, when you want them to pay attention to you for a moment, when you would like them to get out of the way, when you would like them to let you pass. But they're very polite. They're very respectful. Excuse me, pardon me. So let's say you're in the elevator and it's full and the elevator stops at your floor. Nobody else gets out. I need to get out. So I say, excuse me, pardon me. That way people behind who aren't looking behind them know that, oh, there's someone back there who needs to get through. I will let them through. And it's a nice way to say that. If you say, move, 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 people will probably feel that you're rude. If you say, out of the way, right? Of course, that's a crazy thing to say on the elevator, right? So you generally, if you want to be polite, can use something like, excuse me and pardon me. But in other cases, we might say, on your left. Now you may remember on your left from the Avengers. I believe it's the Falcon who says this to Captain America. Or Captain America says it to the Falcon, and then the Falcon in the last movie says it to Captain America.
On your left.
On my left. Got it.
So in that situation, he's just letting him know, right? It's not necessarily rude. It's not necessarily polite. It kind of depends on the situation and how you say it. If I'm a bicyclist and I'm zooming along on a bike path and I'm going past people who may not see me coming, saying on your left is just to alert people to something they may not know. Now, it depends on how you say it. So if you say on your left, maybe in the airport situation, okay, maybe that's rude. But if you just say on your left, letting you know, basically, no judgment, telling you that I'm moving and I am on your left, I think that's fine. In fact, I think that is polite.
On your left.
Now, in some special situations, we might say, could I squeeze past you? That would not work when you're walking quickly and someone is in the way. That would not work when you're a bicyclist. You're not squeezing past people. But if you're in a crowded elevator or a crowded bus and you need to get out and it's cramped and you do need to squeeze to get out, saying, could I squeeze past you is actually a very polite expression. But just note that it is being used there in a more specific situation. You couldn't use squeeze in every situation, but maybe a more general version of that would be, could I get by you? Could I get by you? Maybe more general, not just for the bus, not just for the elevator. You could use that in some situations where you're walking and someone is in the way. In some situations, people will just say, sorry. Sorry? Sorry for what? Why are you sorry? I don't know. Maybe you feel like you're inconveniencing others by asking them to get out of the way. Maybe you're in the supermarket and they're just standing there in front of the milk section and you want to just quickly get in there and grab some whole milk. You want to say sorry to let them know that you just need to get in there for a second to grab what you need. You don't want to disrupt them. This is very common. And some people use it more, some people use it less. People use it for the elevator situation. I'm trying to get out. Sorry, 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 sorry. Instead of excuse me. Instead of could I just squeeze by you. People may use it when they're walking and another person is going slowly and I need to get around. Sorry, sorry. It's pretty universal, but not everyone uses it, and I actually don't use it that much. But actually, I think it's more about your personality. Does it fit the way that you like to communicate? Okay, so that's it for phrases to ask people to get out of the way. Remember, the key is tone and also understanding the situation, which one might be appropriate in which situation. So adapt these according to the situation and how you want other people to feel about you and what fits your personality. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Also, let me know which of the phrases that we talked about sounds most rude to you. Get a free course in the links in the description. Of course, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.